Hi, I'm Captain Chris. I'd like to invite you to take a below decks engine room tour with us. We have a lot of things that you'll see on the boat that you own or maybe the boat that you hope to purchase. Fuel filters for the main engine, smaller ones for the generator. You may even see this very small fuel filter on the 8 kilowatt generator. You'll also see water pumps, which are the cooling water pumps, the raw water cooling pumps with the small impellers, or the larger impellers for the main propulsion engine. You may also wiggle hoses to make sure that they're not rotted and busted like this one. That's a trip killer. And then over here to the right, we've got this white heat exchanger. So if this is a water-cooled radiator that you will see mounted horizontally, and it might be 2 or 3 feet long. And last, on this table display, we have the water pump that cools the air conditioning compressors. So you'll have the generator running all night, providing electricity, water pump to cool the compressors that keep your staterooms cool overnight. So join us, sign up for the video, stick around, it's going to be fun. Ask Captain Chris.
I'm in the engine room of a 49 foot trawler doing a pre-purchase inspection. Mind you, it's not a survey. Just looking around for the client who's unable to attend this visit. You can see 2 air conditioning compressors, 1 very large air conditioning compressor, and you can hear them humming and buzzing right now. Sooner or later in this video, we will find the water cooling pump. See, all these water hoses are going up and into the compressor, going in, around and around and around and out to cool the compressor. Same on that, same on that. So we will follow this header here and follow the water line there. So I see 2 pumps, 1 pump here and another pump there. So those are below the water line centrifugal water pumps to cool the air conditioning compressors. Panning to the right, this big guy right here is a vacuum generator that generates the vacuum for the vacuum flush toilet system aboard the boat. There's a Y valve, so you can divert the sewage to the holding tank, or if you're more than 3 miles out in the Atlantic, directly overboard. This other pump is a directly overboard pump to evacuate or drain the holding tank, again, if you're more than 3 miles out in the ocean. Above all of that, we look at this big metal, galvanized sheet metal. That is your water heater. Somebody's a joke and they wrote hot water heater, but you know the joke, if it's hot, you don't need to heat it. But you've got the water in and the water out. The blue hose, of course, is cold water, and the red pipe is hot water. So if I've got water in and water out, what are these 2 things? These are actually antifreeze pipes or hoses, heater hoses, coming from that engine. So when you run this engine, and the engine gets up to operating temperature about 180 degrees Fahrenheit, that antifreeze will circle through the hoses. There, you see them in the bilge. It will circulate through those hoses in and out of this water heater. That way your drinking water, your sink water, your shower water will be extremely hot, and it's free hot water. You do not need to run the generator to heat this water. The engine heats it. So that's a bonus. Looking down at this big square tube, this big riser, this is a sea chest. That's the ocean. Can't see it because there's a dark shadow under the boat. But if you want, you could open up this port and stick your hand in there. And most of your sea cocks here, there, here, here, and one more over there, all of these sea cocks supply raw water to the different parts of the boat. Here we've got port engine, starboard engine. That might be the generator. The other one might be the water pump for the air conditioner. And excuse me, both of these are water pumps for the air conditioner. And then this last one is for the generator, which I have not shown you yet, but it's back there with the forward sound shield hatch has been removed. That's the generator. Also requires seawater. So now we've got our John Deere 4-cylinder turbocharged 150 horsepower dual Raycor model 500 filters. Same on the opposite engine to the port. And looking back on these engines, there's the transmission. And look at this weird thing sticking off the back of the transmission. Let's turn around and look on the port engine. There's nothing there. So this is called a blind flange. That's been blinded off. There's nothing in there. But on this one, we have this big apparatus, which is a PTO, power takeoff hydraulic pump. You've got the large hose, which returns fluid, and the small hose, which is the pressure fluid, sends hydraulic pressure into this big reservoir and control chamber, and that actually provides the hydraulic fluid to operate the active fin stabilizers right here. So you've got a big fin underwater, and it turns back and forth, and through the marvels of computer technology, it will learn the wave height, the wave roll factor, the wave separation from peak to peak, say 6 seconds, 7, 8 seconds, and it will proactively attempt to prevent the extreme roll on the boat. You'll have a little flotation difference, but you will not have a roll. So that is an active fin stabilizer head. Looking back to port, there's the port head for the fin on the port side. Looking up, you can see a manway. Actually, no man can get in there, but you can stick your hand in there to inspect that. And that is a sight glass with clear liquid, which we're going to assume is water. There's another manway or inspection port. Coming back to this, and you can see it's got a red fluid. Got my strap hung up. See, it's got a red fluid, and there's your level. Can you see the level? So that is your diesel fuel tank. So on this boat, the forward tanks are potable drinking water, and the aft tanks are fuel. Continuing aft, there's our distribution tree, our manifold system. It says 2 tanks, I think in the term of return fuel. From tanks, I think in terms of supply fuel. And you've got all these different valves where you can mix and match to the port, starboard engine, or the generator. These big white tubes are part of the water maker system, which is actually a reverse osmosis water maker. And then that tank is an anti-vibration or anti-pulsating tank. We call them bladder tanks. If you live anywhere and you've got well water at your house, you've got a giant bladder tank in your pump house. So that's what that is, to keep the thumping out of the shower. Looking at the generator, 7.5 kilowatts. There's your local control panel. There's a remote control panel on the dashboard upstairs. Oil filter. It's a 3-cylinder, 1, 2, 3, 3-cylinder injector pump. Fan belt. That is the heat exchanger. And it looks pretty clean. Pretty clean. Imagining this is a 15-year-old boat, I could make it cleaner. And you can see that there has been some kind of debris in here, and it's more so evaporated out rather than being cleaned out. But that's a little problem, not a big deal. It has its own Raycor model 500 here. Going back to the John Deere's, those are ZF or ZF transmissions. This piece here is a transmission cooler. If you've ever bought a big Suburban or a pickup truck to pull a trailer, they ask you to buy the transmission cooler or the trailer package. That's what that is, a transmission cooler. Here we've got the turbo. This is the exhaust turbo, water cooled. Notice the paint is not burned. Inside of this chamber it gets over to 1100 degrees Fahrenheit, but this is oil cooled. See the pipe? The hot gases come out and it's water injected, and then it goes in here, and it does not melt this hose before going into the muffler. Water lift muffler lifts it up and goes out the back of the boat. So as this turbo rotates, it has a common shaft like my flashlight, and rotates this air intake turbo, sucks the air in the air filter, goes in here and blows the air up through this pipe and down into the air intake chamber on the engine. So this is a turbo cooled or turbocharged 4-cylinder John Deere given 150 horsepower. You can see the alternator there. Coming back to port engine, a better view of the alternator. The raw water pump. You can see it's kind of bronzy color, so it's been changed. It's not original. And you can see a little bit of rust right here where the pump had failed, or a previous pump had failed and leaked salt water onto that engine mount. So this is just a real quick tour of what to expect when you're going in the engine room aboard a cruising boat. A cruising boat that's designed for you to live aboard it for a week, a month, or even longer. So you've got a lot of creature comforts, a lot of systems that you need to learn more about. So now we get to the big deal. If you want to learn more about systems aboard your boat, you can join us in Vero Beach, Florida for an Introduction to Boat Systems class. It's 2 days, Fridays and Saturdays, Vero Beach, Florida, halfway between Orlando and Palm Beach, Florida. So if you want to learn more about that boat that you're buying, better yet, learn more about the boat before you buy it so you can decide if you can change the oil, if you can change the fuel filters, if you can service the engines, or if the engine room's just so tight that you can't do it yourself, you've got to hire somebody. All those are valuable lessons to learn before you buy the boat. So look us up. Join us in Florida for Introduction to Boat Systems. Ask Captain Chris. I'm looking at a DeFever 44 in the boatyard, and you can see how deep the draft is with the deep bow, the V, and then there's a bow thruster with one propeller and 6 blades. Walking to the back, you can see the active fin stabilizer. This big fin moves with the hydraulic power back and forth, back and forth. So that is the fin that's outside the boat. Inside the boat, you've got a big head that actually powers it to swing back and forth and back and forth. And the thing that I wanted to point out to you most here is after the engine room, there's the business end, the propeller and the rudder. That's a single eye strut, and then a single intermediate strut right here, because the shaft is pretty long. It comes out. It's supported right here with the intermediate strut and supported in the back with the very long eye strut. But not only is it an eye strut, but it also has a side angle to support it right here to prevent the shaft from whipping with that big propeller. So you've got the eye strut and the side support going against the keel. I don't know if you've noticed, but the keel is deeper than the propeller. So that way, if you should ground the boat on a sandbar, hard sandbar, then the keel will touch the sandbar and not the propeller and not the rudders. So after touring the engine room, this is the business end outside the boat that propels and steers the boat. This is the 44 version, does not have a cockpit. The 49 version does have the cockpit. DeFever 44 or DeFever 49. This is it in dry dock.
As you just saw over the last 12 minutes, there's a lot going on down inside the engine room. In fact, right now, it's much quieter because we're in our garage workshop. On the boat, you heard the buzz of the air conditioner compressors cooling off all of the cabins except for the engine room. But let's go back and look at a few things, or talk about a few things. Number one, you know about zincs on propellers and shafts and rudders and trim tabs on boats, but did you know that you also have zincs inside the heat exchangers? So I'm going to hold this up and you can see where the zinc is consumed. It's eaten up. This goes inside of a heat exchanger because raw water, salt water goes in the heat exchanger, and you need to protect all of the welds on the copper-nickel tubing. The tubing bundle, think of it as copper tubes. So this is a consumed or eaten away pencil zinc or a finger zinc, and then this is a good one or a new replacement. So when you're looking at the video again, look for all of these caps, these bolts, which are raw brass, and it's a good idea that you date them with the Sharpie mark slot so that you'll know next time when you replaced these. Other items to think about are the dipsticks. So we've got a plastic dipstick typical of ZF brand's transmission, and you can see the crisscrosses down here. That's where you measure it from. This is another type of a dipstick that's got the two holes in it. So that's the low mark and that's the high mark. So both of these are dipsticks. Watch the video again and see if you can find out where the dipstick is for the oil on the transmission, on the John Deere, and also on the generator. Other thing to keep in mind is your fuel filter. This boat has the model 500 Raycor fuel filter. This also is a 500, and this is the element or the insert that goes inside the 500. And you can see I've spray painted it red for demonstration purposes. Red is the color of good off-road or marine diesel fuel. If it's black, again I spray painted it, this is dirty fuel, that's clean fuel. And if we were to have fuel inside of this bowl, it would appear red. So again, rewind the video and look for those. This is an interesting point. See how this is black? It's a dirty fuel filter, but it's only dirty up about this high. The reason is whoever put this into the fuel filter did not fill it all the way to the top as a primer. They only filled it about 60% full, so they were only getting about 60% filtration from this filter. And you may see, difficult on the camera, but it's dirty with debris inside of these pleats. Going back looking at both of these, you can see they're blue top, and the blue ink means 10 microns. That's the filtration size of the filter. Brown top means 2 microns, and the orange top means 30 microns. So to wrap all this up, we have a 44-page PDF called What to Expect of a Marine Survey. So if you're looking online and studying all these different dream boats that you may want to purchase, this is an important document that you'd want to buy on our ship store so you can learn more about what to expect when you're looking at an engine room when you're not experienced and you don't know exactly what it is you're seeing. In closing, I'd like to talk about the brown sewage hoses that you saw on the vacuum generator and the overboard pump out. The brown hoses should be white. As they age, they turn brown. As they age, they start to smell. And smell is polite. They actually start to stink. So that's what gives you part of the boat smell when you open up the boat for the first time on a Friday evening after work. So all of these ideas are things that we want you to hunt for, we want you to look for. If you're surfing on the internet and you're looking at Yacht World or Boat Trader or some online boat sales activity, you can look in the engine room and you can start to see what is down there, and hopefully you'll learn that it's good, not good, needs maintenance, or it needs replacement. Ask Captain Chris.